And today I wanted to talk about some current events surrounding Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. I'm sure many of you know what's going on, but for anyone unaware, basically, Mayor Johnson is coming under fire from both the community and some of his own staff due to his decision to spend a vast number of the city's resources on housing thousands of these illegal migrants in large tents throughout the city, which they are currently choosing locations for. And this is estimated to cost the state about $29 million, by the way. And many of the people of Chicago feel betrayed by him. As he was running back then, he said he wanted to tackle things that the community was struggling with: hunger, homelessness, unemployment, gun violence, and he even cited his own experiences with his family and his past work as a teacher in the city to talk about the effects of generational disinvestment in Chicago, which is another way of saying systemic racism. And he was really painting himself as someone who grew up in the community, cared about it, and was planning to do something about it. And this is why many Chicagoans voted for him. They felt he understood them. But now with him trying to cater to these people who came into this country, into his city illegally, we see that he's instead turning his back on the people that got him into office, and he's not been true to his word and is now going against the best interests of the black community. I've seen that they've been considering many different places to build these shelters, parks, community centers, school buildings. All of these are very crucial and core parts to any community. Yet instead he's taking away resources from them in order to house and handle these migrants, spending millions and millions of the city's budget. And I want you at home to try and put yourselves into the shoes of the people of Chicago. Imagine if your park, your school, the athletic or community center where you spend your kids, imagine if those were just taken away from you suddenly. What would you, your family, or even your neighbors do? The cost to taxpayers in Chicago to care for all these illegal migrants is estimated to be about $302 million for the year. And from the reports I've read, Chicago's already received 14,000 migrants since they started coming in on buses. And the shelters in Chicago are already filled to the max too, including 18 or 19 ones that they built to temporarily address these issues. And from the reports I've read, Chicago has already received 14,000 migrants since last year when they started coming in on buses. The shelters in Chicago are already filled to the max too, including 18 or 19 ones that they temporarily built to address this crisis. But even then, that's not enough, hence his plan to construct these massive tents throughout the community. And another thing he promised to address, if you remember, was the violent crime throughout the city. However, since he got into office, this has since spiked. Much of that stemming from the increasing tension between the legal and illegal members of the community. If you ask me, the violence, the crime, the homelessness, the unemployment, all of that is only going to get worse from here on out as more and more of these people who cross into this country illegally continue to pour into the city. All the while, these native black Chicagoans are having their already meager resources taken away from them. And this is why so many are saying that they want to end Chicago's status of being a sanctuary city. Even a couple of the city's alders are thinking about doing that. They want the people to vote on it next year. But even if they succeed in getting it on the ballot, you're going to have to wait till March to be able to do that. Meanwhile, Mayor Johnson is not standing down from this as thousands and thousands of more of these people continue to come in. It looks like Brandon Johnson is reneging on his campaign promises to me. He's leaving the community out to dry. In Black America, I am just so sick and tired of seeing this time and time again. These politicians who can't keep to their promises, who dupe people into voting for them, and then make these policies that go against the desires and interests of those that they are meant to represent. Especially in a city like Chicago, which has such a sizable black community, the third largest in the country. Last I looked, y'all make up just under 30% of the population. I mean, in the 80s, you're 40% of the population, but I digress. Why are we giving so much to people who are not even legal citizens of this country when we can't even take care of our own? As these migrants flood the shelters, they end up pushing out the native Chicagoans who need them. As community centers get taken over or repurposed, what are the kids and family who rely on them going to do? Why is Mayor Johnson turning his back on his own community, giving such preferential treatment to people that shouldn't even be in this country right now? Doesn't that seem unfair to you? Doesn't that also seem unfair to those that immigrated into this country legally as well? And are you really telling me we can't afford to pay reparations to black people, yet all of our tax dollars go to these migrants in foreign countries? I mean, when he was called out on it, Mayor Johnson basically said he wasn't going to concern himself with trying to win votes through his actions, which is basically just another way of saying he's not going to listen to his constituents. Look, I don't care what side of the political fence you're on, but we need to start holding our politicians and our parties accountable. They are meant to represent and listen to us. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, third party, independent, whatever, we can't keep letting these people we vote in betray us like this. This is supposed to be a democracy. So look, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm very curious. In the meantime, I just pray that the people of Chicago can put up a good fight against Mayor Johnson and take back their community. Until next time.